Alright, I wanted to start just do a little bit talking about the US 30 and where we're at right now with the US 30. We're at a pretty significant area of support here. As you can see that I've highlighted on the red line there. Test, make sure this is working. Test, test, test. On the red line there. Okay. Alright, so ooh, excuse me. Pretty significant level from the 10th of September and a few days later, and now we've broken below there. But then we're having this hour candle that's going to close here in about 25 minutes that looks like buyers are starting to get rejected. If we get a candle here that has a tail, I love this because what does this do? This gets a bunch of retail traders going short the break of this, what I call selling bottoms instead of selling where they should be selling, which is higher. So I think that there's a good possibility we might move up a little bit on this. If that candle in 25 minutes closes with this tail that's longer than the body and it doesn't have a wick at the top, I will be looking to take a buy on the US 30. Now, the reason I wait for that hourly candle is because obviously we've been moving down. If we get past this level right here at 34,602, you have to go to a higher time frame chart to see where your next areas are. So we want to see where that candle closes. If that candle closes like that, there's a good chance we could get a correction to the upside. Okay, then you kind of have to go to your daily, it looks like daily chart almost. If we break below here, this brings some pretty significant levels into play, possibly down here at 34,277. But it also, that's not as significant of a level of support for me. This, if we drop below there, potentially down to here at 33,774, which would be huge, right? That would be amazing because I'm still in a lot of shorts on this right now. So I would absolutely love that. That would be amazing. I think that would be pretty sweet. And then possibly down into here or into here, which would be even sexier. And I don't know about anyone else, but I like sexy. Okay, so we could potentially see some rapid decline if we get past that, but we have to get past this area that we're kind of dancing around right now, which is this 34,600 area. That brings 34,277 into play. It could bring all of these areas down into play. Now, if we get a move down on this below 34,602 and come down here a little bit, then we go back above and give us rejection, we can also sell again right there. Okay, if it doesn't give us rejection, it just keeps coming down and then pulls back, we could sell it here if we get the rejection candle. And the same thing here, pull back there, we could get some more sells. And the sell would take place if we have a candle that has a wick at the top longer than the body with no tail. And I'm looking for a really good example of one. That would be a really good example of one right here. Okay, if we had an example like this right here, where you have a wick at the top that's longer than the body of the candle, that would be your sell. I'm not going to sell unless I have that pattern. Alright, so, and we want to see how it plays off at this 34,602. So I'm going to go back to the 1 hour chart and look for it here. And right now, it would signal a buy. I'm not going to take it in my account, and the only reason I wouldn't take it in my account is because I'm already in sells in the account. So I'm not going to reverse winning trades for potentially winning trades. If I wasn't in any sells, I would potentially buy this here, and we'll see how it goes. We have about 20 minutes left in that candle. But if we break below here, if we play out the scenario here, if we break below here and then pull back to here and get another sell signal, then we sell it again. Right now, that's a buy signal. And if you go over every time you have a buy signal on the US 30 for the last, just in September, every time you have that buy signal, which is a tail longer than the body with no wick or very little wick, you're going to win the majority of those times. By win, I mean you're going to get at least 40 to 50 pips is what we said earlier. And I'm just circling the buys right now, not circling the sells. But if you just circle the buys, and if I miss one, I apologize. even when you're on that downward movement, you're still getting rejection and you're still getting buys. And if you do this and you look at all of these, there's several different examples here, and it looks like every single one of those, or if not 85% of those, even as it's going down, when it gets that rejection pattern, you would have made significant amounts of money. Okay, so there's one example, there's two examples, there's three examples, there's four examples, there's five examples. We were doing this earlier today. 6 examples, 7 examples, 8 examples, 9, 10, 11. So 11 examples since September 2nd, and all of those, it looks like, would have made at least 40 pips to get your stops to break even. So at that case, if we know that out of the last 11 times, every one of those would have gotten 40 to 50 points. Well, are you going to take this trade here if we get that example in 19 minutes and you have that same pattern? Are you going to take that risk? 11 times you had it since September 2nd, and 11 times you would have made at least 40 to 50 pips. At that point, you're just a robot, right? It doesn't matter whether or not this trade wins or loses, because you know the majority of the time you're going to win. And if it were to go right now where it is and stop right here, your stop loss would have to be below that tail. And that tail is at 34,553, and you'd want it a little bit below the tail. You don't want it right at the tail, because sometimes it comes and tests the tail right to the pip, and then it goes up. So you'd probably want it 20 or 30 pips below there. But at that point, it's just a numbers game, right? It's nothing more than a numbers game. If I know that that pattern is going to play out for me and it's going to be right typically about 80 to 85% of the time, then you're just a robot at that point. You take the trade because that's what it says to do, but you don't take it until that candle closes, okay? And again, the sell is just the opposite, right? It's the wick at the top, longer than the body, with very little tail or no tail, like that one right there, right? So the opposite is just, the sell is just the opposite. So, and you do that and you'll be right 85% of the time too on the 1 hour chart. So if this candle stays like this for the next 18 minutes, I would absolutely take this trade to the upside, and I would have my stops below the tail by 20 or 30 points. Really, really simple. It's not complicated. It's not hard. Okay, it's the most easy thing you'll do. That's how I've been trading this since the beginning of time, since I'm so old, right? Since I'm a washed up old man, apparently. That's how it's been done since the beginning of time, and that's how it will continue to happen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on that. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I think we'll have a good little setup here. And we're going to move this again because we want to see the terminal, right? We're not afraid of the terminal in here. And we were down like $400 in this account earlier. I know we're down like $60 right now, $50 right now, which is nothing. We'll get it. This one's eventually going to come back down, the pound Aussie. So anyways, but the real reason I wanted to do this was to show you just a little bit about the US 30 and my feelings on the US 30 for now. If we get that pattern, like I said, I will be taking a trade on the US 30 to the upside, and my stop losses will be below that 34,553, and we'll see if it works. But you should be a robot at that point. There should be no question about whether or not you're going to take the trade. You should take the trade based on the fact that that's what the numbers say to do. And I'm a big believer in the numbers. So there's a video for you guys, a short video, kind of analyzing the US 30, and we'll see how it goes. Everyone have a wonderful afternoon, morning, day, whatever the hell it is in your time frame, and we'll chat with you guys later.